It has now been a month since 5-year-old Haley Cummings disappeared from her home in Florida. And for the first time, we are getting a look inside the trailer where that little girl was last seen. NBC's Janet Shamlian is in Satsuma, Florida. Janet, good morning.
Meredith, good morning. No one's been living here since little Haley disappeared. The home has essentially been considered a crime scene. Police have been here day in and day out, essentially taking fingerprints, photographs, anything they can do to try to find the missing 5-year-old. Well, now that part of the investigation is complete. They are out of the home. They've turned it back over to the family and have said that Ronald Cummings can move back in. But as he took us through the house for a tour, he explained why he just can't.
This is Ronald Cummings' house.
It's a bedroom. Where she used to reside.
But without his daughter, it's no longer a home.
She likes to sleep close to us. That's where she was sleeping, right there.
The double-wide trailer Haley disappeared from in the middle of the night has been off limits for a month as police gathered evidence.
Here's where they fingerprinted this light switch.
They've turned it back over to Ronald, but the 25-year-old father says there are too many memories. He'll never live here again.
I've never been away from her for a month in my life.
Ronald says Haley was sleeping on this mattress just a few feet from her younger brother and Ronald's girlfriend, Misty Crosland, who says she awoke to find the little girl gone and the back door propped open by bricks.
It's impossible to come in here and not expect Haley to come running up in your arms.
Her grandmother says Haley is everywhere here, from a still hanging holiday stocking to the nail polish Santa put in it, a basket of Barbies and a bike, reminders of love and loss.
That a little girl who's loved very much lives here. And she's my little girl.
Investigators have taken DNA samples from Crosland and from family members, but have said little about leads, suspects, or any progress in the investigation. Meanwhile, her dad awaits a reunion.
I believe God will deliver Daddy's little girl, Haley, home. Whether it's home to me or home to him, God will deliver her home.
Cummings says he's very frustrated. He just doesn't know much about the investigation, about leads or suspects. The police really haven't been communicating very much with the family. For now, Meredith, this little girl seems to be gone without a trace. Back to you.
Janet Shamlian, thank you very much. Dan Abrams is NBC's chief legal analyst. Good morning to you, Dan.
Good morning, Mary.
As we just heard, police have taken DNA samples from the family, Haley's family, and also from her father's girlfriend who was in the trailer the night that she disappeared. How important is that physical evidence, do you think?
I don't know how important that's going to be in this case, because remember, they live in the home. So their DNA would be expected to be found just about everywhere, including on the light switches, where the child was sleeping, etc.
So why bother to take it then?
Well, they have to do everything with regard to this investigation, and of course the questions are going to be what type of DNA evidence were they looking for? For example, if they ever find blood or something like that, that's always particularly relevant. But I think they need to rule everyone out. They want to know what everyone's DNA looks like, so that if they also find something that isn't the DNA of someone who was in that house, they may have a real clue.
Meanwhile, Haley's 4-year-old brother told police that he saw a man dressed in black that night carry out his sister the night that she disappeared a month ago. How significant is that testimony?
You know, generally the accounts of a 4-year-old have to be taken with a grain of salt, very carefully. Have to think about the fact that he's only 4. But in this
maybe he was coached.
Maybe he was coached. Maybe he didn't see it at all, etc. You just have to be very careful. With that said, that specific an account from the 4-year-old who was in that room is still going to be very relevant. Meaning, if the police believe this is not a child who has somehow been coached, or they don't believe that he's somehow just making this up, I think that could be very convincing to the authorities to say you need to look outside of the house.
Right. But they have no suspects at this point, no persons of interest either. I guess they've scaled back the search itself.
Yeah, none that they're talking about. Right. I mean, again, persons of interest these days effectively mean suspects. The authorities are not going to come out and announce a person of interest unless they essentially have a suspect. So they may know more than they're saying, and I think they're going to be very careful to decide what information to release and what information not to release, so that they can really ascertain what information that they get that's relevant. Because in a case like this, you get all sorts of tips. You get confessions. You get people coming forward and saying, I was there, I was the one, etc. They're going to want to withhold a few details to be able to make sure the information that they're getting in is important.
But are they running out of time, Dan, in terms of finding this little girl?
Well, look, you know, you look at the case of Elizabeth Smart, right, where she was gone for almost 9 months after she was abducted from her home. People couldn't believe it. The idea that she's actually abducted from her home and then found alive, I think that's the hope that's still going to be out there.
Before I let you go, I want to ask you about Tuplet's mom, Nadia Suleiman.
Yeah.
Second time in less than a month, the publicist has quit. And this one said in an interview with Us Magazine, he called Nadia greedy, said this woman is nuts.
Yeah.
So again, her mental state being put into question. Will that affect, do you think, comments like those, her ability, and of her parents as well, her ability to get these children?
Well, look,
to take them home?
It's very hard to take away children from a biological parent. You don't just sort of make a decision that says, well, you know, do we want this person to be the parent?
Right.
With that said, the continuing questioning of her mental stability can't be helpful to her. There's no question this kind of public comment will lead the authorities to say, we need to investigate, we need to keep our eye on this situation at the least. But again, very, very difficult. And look, and a publicist's assessment that someone's nuts is not a medical assessment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Dan Abrams, thank you so much.
All right, Meredith.